Nakamute pala ako, sorry. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar for Emerging Tech and Network Security. Our house rules are just simple. Just keep your mics mute on the entire webinar. We will give you an opportunity to ask questions to our distinguished speaker for tonight. And hopefully you get to enjoy the topics as we progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Mitch. We would like to acknowledge the presence of our participants, faculty members, and students from different universities and colleges, from Aurora State College of Technology, CAAP, Cavite State University, NAIC, Cavite State University, IMOS, De La Salle University, Dasmariñas, FAR, Eastern University, Fayette University, Guevara High School, La Consolacion College, Manila, La Consolacion University, Philippines, La Verdad Christian College Incorporated, Laguna State Polytechnic University, Manuel V. Vallejo College Foundation, Muñoz National High School Annexed, Nueva Ecija University of Science and Technology, Our Lady of Fatima University, Our Lady of the Sacred Heart College of Gimba Incorporated, Parañaque City College, PCC, Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Quezon City University, San Jose National High School, Santa Rita National High School, Sunrise Christian College, Taguig City University, TDSSG Global Academy, Universidad de Manila, University of the East, University of Santo Tomas, and Wesleyan University, Philippines. Thank you po for joining us in our webinar today. We would also like to acknowledge the participation and support of our hardworking and generous professors in DIT826 College Graduate School, our program coordinator, Dr. Dennis Gonzalez, and to all our professors in DIT, Dr. Henry Balmeo, Dr. Shirley Moraga, Dr. Albert Dinduan, Dr. Renato Villegas, Dr. Sheila Geronimo, Dr. Rex Bringula, and Dr. Nelson Rodelas. Thank you po for your support in our webinar today. To start our program, we will have our opening prayer to be led by Ms. Michelle Ann Constantino, followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Let us put ourselves in the holy presence of the Lord, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Loving Father, we come to you again to thank you for your blessings that you have given us for today. And please guide us, the participants and the speakers, as we go through this webinar. And may we take away the learnings after and apply, and hopefully get the chance to apply it within our communities and the industry that we belong. May we do all things for your greater glory. In Jesus' name, amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang mag-ibig, helas ng sinakanan, alam ng puso. Sa titik mo'y buhay, tubig, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatak tutok sa simoy at sa langit mo pagaw, ay hinatang tulad awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitigil, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang ay di matitigil. Luman ang araw ng walhagit pagsinta,
formally begin this webinar, we are pleased to have Dr. Joel B. Mangaba, our class advisor in Seminar in IT and Network Security, to deliver the opening remarks.
Hey, so good day, everyone. We are so privileged to have you here, and it is really inspiring that you joined with us. So, headed by our chair, Dr. Dennis Gonzalez, the ever supportive, multi talented, healthy living chairman of UAGS ICT programs, and of course, because we have this multi-talented chair, we have also multi-talented professors. So we have Dr. Moraga, Dr. Balmeo, Dr. Vinluan, Dr. Villegas, Dr. Rodelas, Dr. Jeronimo, Dr. Carpio. And of course, welcome here all professionals from different parts of the Philippines. So we have from Nueva Ecija, we have from Aurora, Cavite, Pampanga, NCR, both from the academe sectors and industry sectors. So it is a privilege for me to give these opening remarks. I hope everyone is well. Having you joining with us today encourages and motivates us. Though we are prohibited with conventional learning scheme, but we are not limiting ourselves in finding ways to continue and pursue our objectives in sharing and gaining the resources and strategies that we can use to cultivate strength in continuing learning in a new platform. So it is always the promise of the UE Graduate School to deliver to our stakeholders and to boost their minds in the confidence of developing the competencies required by the industries for preparedness and getting a fair share in the workforce arena in their field of specialization. To, make, to be able to make this possible, knowledge sharing is really a healthy avenue, new platform where connection, gravity, and flow are present, which will form a foundation of sustainability and stability of the value of learning for our stakeholders. Optimizing both technologies in pedagogy for the availability and accessibility of resources present anytime. With the emerging technologies, a strong platform makes an enterprise stand with the competing standards, thus maintaining the best from system administration and maintenance, as well as information security and assurance without compromising the consistency, integrity, and availability of resources. Protecting data privacy is one of the main considerations in software product nowadays. In the courses, emerging technologies, and IT and network security classes, we are privileged to have this webinar entitled An Introduction to Low Code and to OutSystems Platforms. So they may bring us to the ideas like platforms as a service, cloud platform services, low-code described as family of tools used to create complete applications using a visual drag and drop interface rather than writing thousands of lines of complex code. And with low code, IT can collaborate with business users to build modern business applications in record time. And of course, we can say that OutSystems as one of the, or number one, low code platform. We are so privileged also having a distinguished uh, speaker, Sir Harley Dangan, a cloud development resources. I hope you enjoy the learning and may you continue to experience the tangible manifest of God's love, mercy, and grace. God bless everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Joel, for your warm, motivating, and inspiring opening message. May I invite Mr. Samson Adin Semwenda, a DIT student from Seminar in Emerging Technology class, to introduce our guest speaker for today.
Good afternoon. I have the privilege to introduce today our guest speaker who has made a name for himself in the field of IT, Sir Harley Dangan. Sir Harley is an experienced software development manager, agile coach, scrum master. He has a solid background in programming and extensive exposure to agile environments. He loves working with cross-functional teams as a servant leader and helps them create wonderful products. On top of Sir Harley's extensive experience of more than 17 years, he also has a very strong education background. He has a master's degree in computer engineering and is currently pursuing a PhD degree in management. He is also a certified professional Scrum Master, professional Scrum Product Owner, PSPO certified in Scaled Professional Scrum, SPS, using the Nexus framework, and has a professional certification in IT Service Management, ITIL. Harley is also currently having fun with OutSystem, the world's leading low-code platform. So I won't keep you much longer, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome our distinguished speaker this afternoon, Mr. Harley Dangan.
Hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yes po.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to try to share my screen and let me know if you could see it. Can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
Yes po.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for that warm introduction. Samson, it's good to see you again. Samson was one of my students when he was in college. Okay, so so today I'm actually excited to introduce to you the OutSystems platform and to introduce you guys to low-code technology. The reason why it's good to talk about low-code is because, hold on. So this is something that Gartner said. So Gartner is a marketing research company, and according to them, by 2024, 65% of development activity will be low code, and that's a lot. That's 65%. Okay, that basically means that low code is gaining traction in a very fast pace, and for a good reason. And in fact, it even accelerated more during the pandemic. And the reason behind that is because a lot of businesses transitioned to digital because of the pandemic. And by that transition, they needed to do it fast because time to market is very important, especially in a competitive world. You don't want your competitors to launch their services ahead of you. So which is why low code is increasingly gaining traction. So this is a statement made by Gartner. So they're a research company. So let's talk about better ways of driving enterprise digital transformation. So here are some advantages of low code. The first and most important advantage is actually the speed. So you can get an application. It could be a mobile app. It could be either an iOS or an Android app. You can have a web application. You can even have just APIs exposed. So it only takes an average of 8 weeks to develop a full functional enterprise application. This is something that is stable and usable by your end users. Agility. So I'm sure that a lot of you, especially those working in the corporate environment, you guys hear the word agile a lot. So agility isn't just really about speed. Okay, one way for you to test if you are an agile individual, if you're working for an agile team or an agile organization, or if your practices are agile, is to see if you can adapt to changes quickly, respond and adapt to changes quickly. So that's what agility is about. So it's not just about speed. It's not just about delivering the highest value to your customers. It's also being able to adapt to a complex world. So low code can actually welcomes change. Unlike other technology stacks. If you're a Java developer, you write hundreds of lines of codes, and then you needed to change something. Even if your architecture is good, you follow the solid principles, you adhere to the best practices, change could still be very painful if you're doing traditional programming. But here, when you're using low code, agility is actually inherent. And of course, adoption. Um, Building great applications does not necessarily mean your users will easily adapt to them. So you also need good user experience, good UI. Out of the box, these low-code technologies, they already incorporate the best UX patterns. So you really don't have to worry about those. So this is, well, I'm sure a lot of you already know what traditional coding looks like. Okay, so traditional coding is, it's about structuring your code. It's about formulating your algorithms. But on top of that, you have to worry about maintainability of your code. You have to worry about design patterns. You have to worry about architecture. You have to worry about security. So there are a lot of things that will distract you from the actual value that you want to deliver to your customers. And you cannot just ignore architecture. You cannot just ignore design patterns. You cannot just ignore security, because eventually, if you ignore these, they will accumulate into technical debt. And it will just make your application more painful to maintain. It will make your application difficult to support. So these cannot be ignored. But of course, if you want to have an application with good architecture, you want it maintainable, you want it secure, you also have to spend a lot of time to write more code. You need to write more unit tests. You need to configure your DevOps, your continuous integration and continuous delivery tools. Sometimes some teams even hire a DevOps engineer. Some people hire architects to check their code. So it's really very expensive. It's time consuming. So traditional coding is, whether it's Java, whether it's .NET, whether it's PHP, whether it's Python, it's expensive, it's slow, it's hard to change, and it's limited by resources. This is also one of the reasons why software is expensive. But low code is actually the solution to this. I'm sure some of you also heard about no code. Low code and no code, they're different, okay? The difference is, in low code, you have the speed of no code while still allowing the customization of the traditional coding. So low code minimizes these extra overheads. You don't have to think much about design patterns. You don't have to think much about security, which we will discuss later. You can focus on the value that you want to give your customers. You focus on the business value. And that's what low code is. It's visual. It's very fast. Fast here is an understatement. It's really fast. And I'm going to show you how to build a website quickly using OutSystems. It's enterprise grade, and it's also easy to learn. Enterprise grade meaning it is stable, it is secure. So OutSystems is the leading low-code platform in the world. And this is according to Forrester and Gartner. These are, again, market research companies. So as you can see, OutSystems is in the upper right quadrant. In 2015, it was not that popular really. And then it started gaining traction in 2016, and it became the leading low-code platform in 2017. And even now, you can see that it's still one of the top low-code platforms. So this is according to Gartner research. Now, what are some use cases for low-code? So one is for digital operations. A lot of companies are undergoing digital transformation, and some of their initiatives includes streamlining their operations, making it more efficient by going digital. A good example of this is Globe Telecom, because we transformed their HR system, and we also develop their field operation application. So they monitor their technicians when they get deployed in the field. They use a mobile app that we develop with OutSystems. So it's much faster to work. It's much more efficient when you go digital. It can also enhance digital experiences. The good thing about the OutSystems platform is that it already comes with great UX patterns out of the box. You do not need to hire a skilled UI UX developer and designer to build great UI. OutSystems does it out of the box. It's engaging, it's user-friendly, and it's available for both Android, iOS, and web applications. And of course, OutSystems can also be used to transform legacy systems. The good thing about the platform is it can easily integrate to anything, literally. You have a SQL database, Oracle, MySQL, or any data source, any API, any system, it can integrate. If what you're looking for isn't available out of the box, you can still write your own using C#. And that's the good thing about OutSystems. It already has most of what you need, if not all. If you encounter a situation, which is very rare, wherein you need a certain specific functionality, you can still write using traditional coding. But I've handled a lot of OutSystems projects already, and I never had to write a single traditional line of code. Here are some clients who are already using OutSystems. So you can see these are big companies. You know, Union Bank is has been awarded the best digital bank in the Philippines last year, and they run OutSystems. So you have Metro. You also have other companies like Globe, Watsons, Metrobank. You know, these are blue chip companies. You have SM, Ayala. These are the biggest companies in the Philippines, and they are using OutSystems. Even San Miguel's there, Cebu Pacific, Coca-Cola. And this is just in the Philippines. So we have clients also in the US and in Australia. So as you can see, these companies are starting to adapt low code, specifically OutSystems. So what's so good about OutSystems? So let me show you. So these are actual case studies. So you have an airline. So they have a project that was developed in OutSystems. Compared to traditional programming languages, it took them 34 months. But in OutSystems, it took less than half the time, 17 months. You also have a bank here, where in traditional development took them 24 months. In OutSystems, it only took them 25% of the time. And that is huge. Imagine how much money you can save. And developers are very expensive. Just so you know, the salary of the IT professional is close to that of the salary of doctors and pilots. Okay, if you're a seasoned IT professional, you're one of the top earners in the industry. And companies are saving a lot of money just by choosing OutSystems because they don't have to hire developers for 24 months. They just need to hire them for 6 months just by choosing the right platform. And here we compare Java with OutSystems. So in Java, it took 2 years, and in OutSystems, it only took 6 months. I have 10 years of experience in C#, more than 10 years of experience. I used to be a technical lead developer, and we used to specialize in the .NET framework, specifically in Windows Presentation Foundation and ASP.NET. So I could really see that this is real. The speed, this amazing speed, it's unbeatable. The time to market, no traditional programming language can beat it. A lot of you might be thinking, hey, we have WordPress, we have Laravel, we have Drupal, we have all of those. A lot of these are content management systems. You set them up and it's done. But the problem with CMSs is that it's not as flexible as programming. You cannot customize and add your own algorithm in there without extensive programming. Even if it's WordPress, you still have to, if you want to customize some business logic, you have to write using PHP, traditional coding, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and that's going to take a lot of time, even if you're using CMS. If you're using an MVC framework like Laravel, you still have to write a lot of code. Okay, so there is really no way to beat low-code technology. So what are the possibilities? Custom applications. The good thing about this is when you're building a mobile application, you don't have to do separate development for iOS and Android. So some companies, they hire both an Android developer, they hire also an iOS developer. Sometimes they invest on Xamarin, Microsoft technology, wherein there is one common code base that gets compiled into both iOS and Android binaries, but it's still traditional coding. It's still much slower to build upon. OutSystems is also being used for, can also be used for software as a service. And some of our customers ask us to build that so that they can cater to their customers. And this slide is actually a little old, so OutSystems can actually now do more than these. So as I mentioned earlier, you can build mobile apps and web apps. OutSystems now came up with some new project types. Progressive web apps. So OutSystems now has a new project called the Progressive Web Apps. The good thing about Progressive Web Apps is that it's a web application. It opens in your browser. You can use it in your laptop. You can use it in your phone, and the experience is the same. So what are the mobile experiences that you can use in your phone? You have access to the camera. You have access to the device, the Bluetooth. You can check if the phone is in portrait or landscape. You have access to the accelerometer. Progressive web apps can do that. It can give you a native mobile experience without actually having to install binaries. So that's a new technology of OutSystems. It's not in this slide, but it's something new, something that you should be aware of. So it's something that OutSystems is pushing. And the reason for that is one of the pain points in mobile development is that when Android or iOS releases a new a version of their operating systems, especially Apple, there are usually breaking changes. Remember when iOS 13 went out, a lot of people complained that a lot of their apps stopped working. With progressive web apps of OutSystems, you don't have to worry about that. So here are some pain points that low-code addresses. So you have disparate systems. They are difficult to manage. You require different skill sets. Imagine a huge organization, huge. You can have some departments using .NET. You have some departments using Java. You have some departments using PHP. And then they need to integrate with each other somehow, which is why some architects would implement microservices. So the microservices architecture, so that they could abstract these different technologies and then expose everything via API so that they can communicate with each other. So imagine all that effort. So they're difficult to manage. They require different skill sets. You cannot just pull one developer and throw him to another department. If he's PHP and then you ask him to do Java, then there's some learning curve there. It's not streamlined. You have to worry about DevOps and, well, legacy. They're old. And this is the biggest problem. And one of the reasons why some companies are struggling with their digital transformation. The demand is just too high. The demand to go digital, the demand to build applications is so high that development cannot keep up. There's so much demand that development cannot keep up. Development is painfully slow. So which is why, and you see, software engineering is different from all fields of engineering. It is the most unique. Okay, did you ever wonder why computer engineering doesn't have a board exam? So it's really difficult because things change fast and things are complex. It's not like civil engineering, wherein, okay, you want to build a house, you want to build a bridge, add more people, you get it done earlier. In software engineering, that is not always the case. Okay? You cannot have software built faster by adding 100 more developers. You cannot do that. Sometimes that even causes it to slow down. There was a project that was conducted by the FBI. I don't know what that project was. It was a case study that I read. They had 400 developers and they're always delayed. Development was painfully slow. They scaled it down to 40 developers and they got the project done. So that kind of scenario only happens in software engineering. So I'm trying to say that software development is complex, and it's because of that complexity that it doesn't get delivered very fast. So the demand is so high and they cannot keep up. So OutSystem solves this problem. Okay, you have one platform that does everything. You can have mobile applications, you can have web applications. It can integrate to any system. You have SAP, you have Oracle, even spreadsheets, anything. And it not just integrate, it can integrate really fast. And I'm going to show you how to consume a REST API later. And you don't have to worry about DevOps. You don't have to worry about continuous integration. You don't have to worry about configuring your CI/CD server. You don't have to worry about all of those. The platform gives you easy access, pre-configured. All the DevOps tool you need is already there. You can even deploy an application with just clicking a button. And of course, empowering by low code. It's super fast to build, super easy to change. And the problem with traditional programming is if you change something, it breaks everything. In OutSystems, the platform already knows breaking changes. It warns you about it. So it's already the #1 low-code platform. It's full stack. You don't need a database administrator or a database expert to help you. You don't need a UI expert. You don't need to be a scripting language expert. You don't need to know a lot of JavaScript. You don't need to know server-side scripting language. Once you know OutSystems and it's easy to learn, you're already developing full stack. From the back end to the user experience, you're building all of it and you're building it super fast. You can deploy to any device, like I mentioned. You don't have to have separate code bases for, if you're developing progressive applications, you just need one code, it runs on all devices. And it gives you native application experience. It doesn't give you like the experience wherein you need to open a web browser, visit this website. Progressive web applications give you native experience without having to install any binaries, without dependency on any device. So it's abstracted. Of course, it also gives you the full life cycle. Building with just a click of the button, deploying with just a few clicks of a button. It can also monitor the performance. In .NET, I remember you have to profile your application. You have to find memory leaks. You have to know which object is slowing down the application. You need to be a technical person to optimize your code. In OutSystems, the platform itself will tell you which part of your code is slow and which part of your code needs optimization. There's no need to really dive deep, no need to run fancy analytics tools. It's all built into the platform and it's that easy. And it's also easy to manage the platform. Just a few clicks and you're done. So why is OutSystems the #1 low-code platform? Unbeatable speed. And I'm going to show you just how fast it is to develop applications here. It integrates with anything. You don't have to worry about, just transforming a part of your organization and migrating it or modernizing some applications to OutSystems while everything else is still legacy. You don't have to worry about that because it can integrate with a lot of applications. You can still write your own C# code if you have to. But based on my experience, I never did that yet. I never saw the need yet. Number 3, great UX by default. You don't need a seasoned graphic artist or front-end developer just to write fancy JavaScript to make your application look great. OutSystems out of the box already has great UX. Low code without constraints, meaning if you need to write traditional coding, you still can. Built-in security, which I will discuss later. Massive scalability. The good thing about OutSystems is you can scale your servers. If it's in the OutSystems cloud, they can do it for you. You don't have to worry about it. Unbreakable deployment. OutSystems, the platform itself, will not allow you to deploy broken code. It will not. If your code is broken, it won't deploy. Simple as that. Unbreakable deployment. If you have outdated dependencies, if you have modules, if you're consuming modules that are outdated, the platform will warn you that some of these dependencies are outdated, just so you know that you are referencing some dependencies that haven't been compiled to the latest version yet. So it's good. And of course, metrics that matter. Like I mentioned earlier, you have analytics that will thoroughly analyze your code and tell you, even a query, a slow query, it's going to tell you which query is slow, it's going to tell you which page loads slow, and it's going to tell you why it's loading slow. It can identify if it's a network problem, if it's a rendering problem, or if it's a server processing problem. It tells you that. So just like I mentioned, OutSystems is very fast. You just need to click a button to deploy. You don't need to configure any automated build servers. You don't need to do that anymore. You don't need to hire a DevOps engineer. Out of the box, it's fast, even deployment. When you deploy your mobile application, you can generate the Android APK, and you can also generate your iOS binaries. It's as simple as that. One click, and you have your installer for Android. One click, you have your installer for iOS. You don't have to do anything special. You have one code both for iOS and Android if you're building mobile applications. Automatic refactoring of the code and in-app feedback. In-app feedback is a nice feature. You can actually enable this. The good thing about in-app feedback is, for example, I'm a user, I'm using an Android phone, and I saw a defect. So I can touch my screen using 2 fingers and hold it there for like 3 seconds. And I can draw a circle around the bug. I can type some comments, and then I click on send, and it gets sent to the development team. Imagine being able to send the feedback from that application. You don't have to go to a separate website, describe the defect that you found, upload screenshots. No, you don't have to do that. The application itself supports in-app feedback. And the good thing about this is that you don't need to develop this anymore. It's automatic. It's a built-in feature of OutSystems. When you build your mobile application, it already incorporates this in-app feedback. You don't need to do anything special. And it integrates with everything, like I said. So you can see you have SAP, Salesforce, Oracle, Hadoop, PayPal. It integrates to everything. If it's not here, you can write your own code. And consuming and exposing REST applications and SOAP is very easy. You really don't need to know how these work. You can use it, you can consume it without knowing how it works. That's a good thing about it. So like I said, you can build your own connectors with C# if you need. And you can wrap existing codes. For example, if you integrate to MySQL, you can wrap it in a server action so that you don't have to worry about it. There's no runtime interpreters, no proprietary data models. And of course, it's enterprise grade, meaning it's secure, it's scalable, it's fast, it's already built on top of good architecture, and deployment is very flexible. In fact, you can have the OutSystems platform on the cloud, on OutSystems itself. You can deploy it on Amazon Web Services. You can deploy it on Azure. you can deploy it on premise, meaning you can, if you have a server in your office, you can deploy OutSystems there. So it's up to you. If you want to maintain your own server, then that's up to you. If you want OutSystems to maintain it for you, then you put it in the OutSystems cloud. So it's entirely up to you. I already mentioned this unbreakable deployment. Let's talk about automatic staging. So here's an example of the staging process. As you can see here in the diagram on the right, you have development, you have test, and you have production. Now, this is just the typical staging cycle. You can have more than 3 stages. Like one of our clients, a bank, I will just not mention that client, they have development, test, and they have the staging server, and then they have the production. So you can even have 10 servers if you want. These are virtual servers. So after developing your code in the development, if you want to deploy to the test server and have your testers look at it, you just click one button and it's done. And then if you want to deploy to production, you just click a button and it's done. No fancy deployment scripts, how to, whatever. It's just as simple as a click of a button. And here you can see through change in the lower right of my slide, you can see something called through change there. Oh, sorry. Trying to highlight it. Here. If you're a Visual Studio, if you're a C# or Visual Basic developer, you must be familiar with IntelliSense. So OutSystems version of IntelliSense is through change. So through change will tell you if there are errors and then exactly where your errors are. It's also going to warn you about security vulnerabilities, and that's the good thing. For example, if you put some JavaScript code in there and you do not sanitize your JavaScript, then some hacker can fiddle with that JavaScript and then do some harm in your application. So OutSystems knows if you are doing something dangerous and it warns you about it. So that's the good thing about through change. And the good thing about the OutSystems platform is in the latest version and in the succeeding versions, they're incorporating artificial intelligence. They're incorporating AI in the development process so that when you're writing your code, this AI can assist you into doing what you actually want to do. It can predict what you want to do and then do it for you. That's the good thing about it. It can predict. Okay, imagine writing your code and you have AI helping you write that code. Okay, it's different from IntelliSense because this one is based on millions of developer habits. So they actually analyze millions of developer habits and come up with that AI assisted development. And this is what I mentioned earlier, metrics that matter. So if you can see here in the right, it shows you, in this example, it shows you that your application is actually fast if it's green. If it's yellow, it's fair. If it's red, that means it's slow. And then it's going to tell you exactly where it is slowing down. So it monitors your application performance in real time. And then you can drill down to the exact cause of the slowdown. In other words, you can always make sure that your applications are optimized. It's easy to find where the slowdown happens. You will know if you need to scale your servers, you will know if you need to optimize your code, you will know if it's a network related problem or an infrastructure problem. So it's as good as that. Okay, let's talk about security. But before that, I hope you don't mind giving me 1 minute. I just have to go to the restroom. Hold on, just give me a minute.
Okay, Sir Harley.
All right, so while waiting for Sir Harvey, you can prepare your questions, everyone, all of the participants. You can post it already so we can accommodate and we can choose questions for later session. Again, thank you so much for attending and participating. So we'll just wait for Sir Harvey.
I'm actually back.
Oh, Sir is back. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Over to you. Yeah. So,
okay,
all right.
so let's talk about security. Are you familiar with OWASP? OWASP stands for the Open Web Application Security Project. So it's a project wherein they consolidate all the common security vulnerabilities of web applications, and they create guidelines to avoid them. So it's actually good for developers to be aware of this, especially if you're a web developer, so that you can build the habit of writing secure applications. And the good thing about OutSystems is that it's already built in. They already know all these vulnerabilities and they incorporate it to the platform. So as a developer, when you're using OutSystems, you're already complying with OWASP. That's a good thing. So you don't need to spend a lot of time with security because we want to focus on the value of the business. And that's agility. So a lot of clients prefer to have their OutSystems platform hosted with OutSystems, the OutSystems cloud. Okay. If you're hosting your platform there, you already get the private cloud security with transport layer security like SSL and TLS. And every time they update their platform, which they do for free, by the way, you always get the latest security patches. So you really don't have to worry about this version, vulnerabilities were found, you need to upgrade. You don't have to worry about that. They do that for you. You don't have to do anything. Penetration testing and vulnerability scanning is already done by them, so you don't have to worry. And they also have a team for security services 24/7. They have a security incident response team. If in case there has been a breach, but based on my experience, 0 breaches, then they have a security team on standby. In fact, their security team is a member of FIRST. FIRST stands for the Forum of Incident Response and Security Teams. It's a group, it's an organization, and the OutSystems team is actually a member of this. So when it comes to security, you are covered because we don't want to build great applications with all these features and then they're not secure. Doesn't make sense because a lot of our clients are actually banks, okay, like Metro Bank, for example. And the good thing about hosting the platform with OutSystems, because like I mentioned earlier, when you use the OutSystems platform, you can have it hosted with them. You can also host it to your favorite cloud service provider, Amazon or Azure or Google Cloud, or you can have it hosted locally on your office or at home. If you choose to have it hosted with OutSystems, they already maintain it for you. Okay, they do a daily backup of your database. They monitor your storage usage. They tell you, hey, your database is almost full, time for an upgrade. So they do all those automatically for you. You don't have to worry about it. So the burden of managing the platform is on them. You don't have to worry. You just have to focus on the products that you build. So that's the good thing about it. And of course, if your server or if your platform is hosted with OutSystems, they make sure that your information is secured. They don't sell your information to third-party vendors for marketing like that. No, they do not do that. You know, banks do this. You have your credit card with BPI, and all of a sudden, a lot of people are calling you. You don't know where they got the information. So it just shows that your information with some organizations, some companies are not that secure. In OutSystems, none of that will leak. So you don't have to worry about security. Great UX by default. So how do they do this? And this is outdated. So the numbers you see here are much improved now. But this is how they do it. They analyzed all the popular applications in the App Store, iOS, Android, and popular patterns in the internet. They studied all these popular applications, and then they got the UI patterns and they built it into OutSystems. So you don't have to worry about your button looking good. It looks good out of the box. Your text box, how the JavaScript validation happens. You don't need to know Angular JS to develop great UI, UX. So everything is already good. So drag and drop with pixel perfect control. What if you're the OC type? Hey, I want my button to look different. I want my organization has a standard with user interface and I needed to comply with that standard. No problem. You can edit the CSS yourself. You can even write your own UI patterns if you want. There's nothing stopping you from going traditional if you have to. There's nothing stopping you when you're using OutSystems. Develop once for every form factor. So this is what I mentioned earlier. This is outdated. Okay, this is like 2 years ago. So they continuously analyze popular applications. They check the UI patterns and they incorporate it to OutSystems. So like the widgets, headers, footers, menus, sliders, date pickers, radio buttons, calendars, everything that you need in your UI is already built by OutSystems and they chose the best. You need to change the color, that's easy, use CSS. So both mobile and web applications, they give you the best UI experience. And if you need to customize it, no problem. So here's, you can see here, it's a screenshot of some mobile applications and you can see the UI. It looks good. You can even have charts and graphs. You don't need to learn JavaScript to do this. And you can also have, OutSystems already provides templates. If you need to build an e-commerce store really fast, it already has a template for e-commerce. You can just use that template and it's working. It already connects to the back end. It already has a shopping cart and everything. And you can just customize it from there. So that's the good thing about it. It's like CMS plus low code. So if you choose that route, you can actually. It has a UI framework called Silk UI, but this is for the previous version of OutSystems. They already deprecated this and now they call it OutSystems UI. The good thing about OutSystems UI is that it now works for progressive web apps. It now works for reactive applications, which are new types of projects of OutSystems. And they work for all platforms. So this is a little old. Sorry, I wasn't able to update it. That's it for the OutSystems and low code. Before we proceed with the demo, maybe some of you might want to ask a few questions.
Yeah, thanks, Sir Harvey, for that awesome content. I mean, platform systems, cloud systems are really close to my heart as well. I'm working as a ServiceNow consultant, Sir Harvey, as well. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, really interesting. So yeah, from the audience, please do post your questions on the comment box, and we'll read them. Otherwise, Sir Harvey, I have a question. Do you have some sort, or do outsource, or I mean, do this have like training programs, certification programs as well, like OutSystems fundamentals training or something like that? Do we have? Yep.
That's actually a very, very good question.
Mm-hmm.
OutSystems already provides everything that you need on their website, full tutorial, including certification paths.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get certified, you just need to finish that tutorial, review, pay for the certification, take the exam, and you're certified. You don't even need to reach out to a training partner.
Mm-hmm.
No, everything you can learn through their website, and registration is free. And the good thing about it is, if you want to study OutSystems, they give you free access to the platform, completely free. So you can, while you're studying, they give you machine problems that you can actually do. You can actually code it yourself. You can
Mm-hmm.
run it yourself. In fact, I'm going to demo that later. And it's really easy, especially if you're a seasoned programmer. If
Mm-hmm.
you've been programming for many years in Java or C#, it's going to be a walk in the park. So it's really good.
Yeah, appreciate that, Sir Harley. That's
You're
really
welcome.
good news for everyone, especially the students, right? And those who are who wants to transition from the traditional programming to this kind of system in general. And I really relate a lot because most of our customers are, I think 70 to at least 90% are transitioning to the cloud, transitioning to low code, up to no code
Mm.
programming, right? So that's really awesome. Anyway, from the audience, if you don't have questions, you can prepare it so we can do question and answer after Sir Harley's demo, if that's fine with everyone. So yeah, Sir Harley, like we can proceed with the demo. Thank you again.
Okay. Does anyone have a stopwatch lying around, or just take note of the time? It's 6:10 p.m. So let's start that demo.
Okay, yeah, 6:10. All right.
I'll just share my whole screen. Okay, so um, when you develop with OutSystems, you need to download Service Studio. So this is the integrated development environment of OutSystems. It's free, so you don't have to pay it like Visual Studio, which is insanely expensive. So this one is free. So you can develop enterprise applications. Just download this for free. And everything that you do, every time you publish your code, it gets uploaded to the platform. If your platform's in the cloud, then it's there. So you don't have to worry about doing a lot of work and then brown out and then you lost a lot of your work, because every publish automatically commits your code. So you don't have to commit it manually by running git commands. It's automatic. Your code is versioned automatically. So I'm an OutSystem certified web developer. I would like to demo a mobile application, but it's not my forte. So I'm just going to demo a traditional web application because I'm a certified web developer of OutSystems. So I'm going to create a new, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to select this. And you can see here, we have reactive web. You can build an app for a tablet or a phone. It's not asking if you're developing for iOS or Android. It doesn't matter. Once you develop it, you have binaries for both. But you can also create a service. So you can have a service and then expose certain methods via REST or SOAP if you want. But for the demo, I'm going to create a traditional web application. So I click web app, click on next. Let's call it Mapishi Online Store. Mapishi Online. So let's just say that Samsung paid me $2 million to develop this for him. Just kidding. So okay, so I can choose the color theme.
Thank you.
Here. You're welcome, Samson. Just pay me later. Just kidding. I'm going to upload an icon, so I'm going to use the Mapishi logo here. Okay, and here's where the fun starts. The application will automatically create the CSS styles complete with colors based on the icon that you upload. So it's going to intelligently select the colors, the best colors for you. So I'm going to create my application now. It might be a little slow because I'm just using the free version and it's running on the web. So I'm just going to go ahead and create it. Okay, so this is the IDE. So we have nothing yet. This is my main flow. And I'm going to add a screen. So I'm going to add web screen. So let's create the home page. So as you can see here, I have many templates depending on what you want to do. And these templates are not just ordinary templates. They have complete functionality. For example, in the web store here, it's complete, including the database entities, transacting with the database. It creates everything and you can just customize it. Kind of like WordPress, Drupal, or OS Commerce, CMS with that you can customize, but here we're using low code. But let's start from scratch. I'm going to create an empty page. All right, so it adds the logo here. See, it already has my user authentication, so you don't have to worry about security. And if you can see here in the lower right corner, I'm going to put a check here on anonymous, simply saying that even people who are not registered can visit the site. So you don't have to worry about access control. You just click this box over here and you can give access to everyone. You don't need to worry about roles or registration. It does it automatically. So I now have my home page. I can add a title here, welcome to Mapishi. And I can, on the left, I want to add a UI pattern with 2 columns. And then I'm going to go a little fast because we want to show you how fast it is. I'm going to add Samson's picture to the left here. And then I'm going to look for some lorem ipsum text here. Just to fill that empty part. So I'm just going to copy maybe 2 paragraphs of this. Let's just pretend that this text actually means anything. So there. So I demonstrated to you how to build a static page. Okay, so if I want to publish it, I just click it here. You see this publish button, it's publishing now. So if you see the logs here, it's compiling ASP.NET C# code. So you could tell that OutSystems is actually built with .NET. So once it's done, I just open this in the browser. And here, you see? Now, I showed you how to build static content. Now let's add some dynamic functionality. But first, we don't have a menu. I'm going to rename this to home. And then I'm going to drag it here. See how the magic happens here. I'm going to drag that page here and automatically it creates a link. And not just a link, it's already styled properly. You see it's orange. I didn't have to write a single line of code in CSS to make it orange. It detects the color that I want to use based on the logo that I uploaded. So here, I already have a hyperlink for home. Now, let's do something dynamic. Let's go here to data, where I can create my tables. Okay, so I have here my database. So by default, it already has some tables for my menu. I want to create a new one. I'm going to create an entity. So an entity is just a database table. I'm going to call it food menu item. Okay, so I now have a table, food menu item. It already has my identifier, automatic. ID, it already created my identifier. I'm going to create an attribute that would represent the name of the menu item. I will also create another one representing the description.
Wala na yata, nagamit mo dati.
And then 250 characters. I'm going to add another entity attribute, which is the price. And I'm going to add another one, the image. Like I want to upload pictures of the menu.
Nalungkot? Sino?
Can you
Bakit?
please mute?
Uwa.
I hear someone talking. Okay, so as you can see, the name of my attribute here, name description, OutSystems automatically detects that it's a text. So you can see here, data type is text, description, the data type is text, and I have an attribute of my table called price, and automatically it selects the currency type. I have an attribute called image, and automatically it sets it to binary data. So that's how assisted AI development works. So it automatically detects the data type based on the name. Okay, so now I have my food menu item, and I'll show you something wonderful. So the food menu item here is simply my my table to store menu items, like the food, an image of the food, the name of the food, the description, and the price. So this is where it starts going crazy. So I'm going to my main flow here. This is a database table, right? The food menu item table that I created. I'm going to drag it here. It automatically creates a page for me, an entire page. I'm going to drag it again. it's going to create another page with a different functionality. This second page will allow me to dynamically edit the content of this page. So I was able to create 2 pages just by dragging it twice. Now let's add a little customization to this page. So here are the 2 pages that it created. Food menu items, which is a list of the menu of the food items that the website is trying to market, and a page where I can edit the contents. I can, with CRUD functionality, I can create, retrieve, update, or delete. Okay, so I have 2 pages if you want to see what it looks like. This one is a list of the menu items. You see, it automatically creates it. I just drag the database table, and this page contains a page where I can edit it. As you can see, I have the name, description, and the price. It still lacks something, so I'm going to add a control where I can upload an image. Okay, but before that, so this is my aggregate here. It's actually what queries data from the database. So it only queried the name, description, and the price because it doesn't automatically query binaries by default. So we're going to create another field here so that it will query also the binary image. And then I can specify here that I'm actually binding it to that binary image. So now you have it here. So if I go back here to my list here that was generated, I can add 1 column to the left that will hold the image. So let's just call that, let's not put a header there, there's no need. So I'm going to grab an image here. So this is the template of my list. I'm going to drag an image here. The default image is just the Mapishi logo, but we're going to change that with dynamic content. So I have the image here, and here it says static. I want it to become dynamic, pulled from the database. So I just set it to database. The file name, it can be static, it can be dynamic. I'll just put it static. I'll just call it menu item image.jpg. Doesn't matter. And then I'm going to bind that to the database binary, which is menu item image, and the identifier. And that's it. So we have a menu page that shows the menu items, but how do we add menu items? So we go to this menu detail page. It automatically creates fields where I can put the name and the description. Let's put multiple lines here, hold on. Oh, there. So the description can have multiple lines. So here I'm going to add a container. Inside that container, I'm just going to copy paste the label here. And then I'm going to, instead of price, I'm going to call it image. And I need to upload an image. So I'm going to drag the file upload here. Awesome. I'm going to call it just upload. Okay, so what happens when I save it? So when I save it, I want it to upload the image as well. So look here. It looks like a flowchart, but this is where the logic happens. You see? So I'm going to, I can create an assign statement here because I want whatever the user uploads. Excuse me. what I did here is whatever the user uploads, it adds to the object of the menu before it saves it to the database. So you can see all of this was generated by OutSystems and you can customize it. Okay, so let's see. I have one warning. I'll just ignore that. Okay, so I'm just going to publish it now. Okay, so we're done. So I have the home page, I have the menu items. I'll log in first. It has built-in security, so I'll log in. Okay, I have nothing here, but we created a page that can dynamically add items. So let's call this barbecue. Sorry, Samson, I don't know what it's exactly called. Some good old barbecue. Lamb.
Mishkaki.
What? Mishaki?
Mishkaki.
Mishkaki. This.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Yummy. Yummy and good. I promise. Okay. And the price is, let's just say 150 or 100. I don't know. How much is that, Samson? Let's just say 100. And I can choose the picture. So let's choose the picture. And this is it, the barbecue. And then I'm going to save it. Okay, so here you see the menu. We have an item now. Sorry, the UI. You can still customize this UI, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to show you functionality. So you see, I added the barbecue. Let's add another item. Basmati rice platter. I ordered this one, Samson. Remember, this is a and kinds of toppings on mati. Let's just say maybe 100. I'm going to choose this one, save it. Oh, there, see, it's dynamic. I started at 610. It's now 628. And I wasn't going on full speed because I was explaining. You have a static homepage. You have a dynamic content here. And the dynamic content has an admin page where you can update it. There's a problem here. I want some access control security built on this page. I don't want any user to just create an item. I just want a registered user to be able to edit the content. I also want not registered users to view the content, but not edit it. So we can do that. Okay, so let's go to the interface again. So how do we control access? It's easy. Check boxes here. Anonymous, registered. You can add more roles. For example, administrator, editor, or whatever, marketing. You can add more roles. For now, the default is just either anonymous or registered. So on the home page, I have both checks. That means even anonymous visitors can visit it. The food menu items also, I want anonymous visitors. And I also, the admin page, I want everyone to visit it, but I only want registered users to be able to edit it. Okay, so I'm going to select the form and check out the security features here. Hold on. Okay, so this enabled property is true. So that means the form is enabled regardless of who's logged in. I'm going to edit that. I'm going to remove this. And I only want registered users to be able to log in. So there's a user function here. Oh, sorry. So I can just drag this or double click it. and then drag this. It automatically checks if the role is, if the user is registered or not. If he's registered, automatically this page is enabled. Okay, and in the food menu items here, there's a link here to create a new food menu item. I don't want people to click this if they're not registered. So I can make it, I can change the visible property here. I'll just remove this and add this. Okay, so only registered users can now click this item. When they visit this page, only registered users can edit this. So let's test it. Okay, so I'm registered. You see my name here. I'm a registered user. So I could go here and I have access to this link because I'm registered. I can click on that. I can create a new item, another food item. I don't know what's next. So I'm just gonna do some lorem ipsum here. Oops. And the price is maybe 50. Let's choose this one. Okay, so here's the new item that I added. Because I'm registered, that means in this case, I have the access permission to edit it. I can actually rename it. I'll just click this and then I can make it shorter, food item, and then save. And here you have food item. So you see, because I'm registered, what if I log off? I'm going to log off and now I'm an anonymous user. So I'll just visit the site and now I'm an anonymous user. If I go to food menu items, I don't have that button to add anymore. See here, I no longer have that button. If I click this, I cannot edit. I can only view, but I cannot edit because I'm an anonymous user. Okay, I might still be able to upload. I forgot to this. Oh, it's also disabled. So yeah, I won't be able to edit. I'm going to post this URL to the Zoom chat. Where's the chat? How do I do that? Chat.
Sir Harley, yeah, you can click the chat icon and then.
Oh, thank you. It's here. So
Yeah.
I'm going to paste it here and tell me if you can visit it. It's live, by the way. So tell me if it loads.
It loads for me, Sir Harley.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
See, it's live.
It's live. It's
yes,
alive.
it's that fast. So let's do something. Let's add some fun stuff here. Okay, so I told you earlier that we can actually consume APIs and it's really easy to do so. So I have here a fun API. This is a fun API. What this API does is it generates a URL to a random photo of a dog like this one here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this endpoint. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to logic and here I'm going to consume this REST API. So I'm going to consume it here. Add a single method. I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to test. Let's see if the API is live. So I can actually test it here. So I should receive a JSON response if it's okay, which is here. So I have my JSON response. I'm going to copy it and then finish. That's it. It took me less than 1 minute to consume a REST API. And I dare you to do that in Java and C# and see how long it would take. I'm done. I already have the method. It's just that easy. Now I'm going to add a new screen. Let's call it, I'm just going to call it Dogo. May pupu daw. Okay. I'm going to create a new page. So you see here, I have now that link. And I'm going to create that. I'm going to create an image that will contain the random dog photo. I'm just going to put it there. Let's use the Mapishi logo by default. But we want it to be dynamic. So type, I'm just going to call it external. And the URL will be I'm going to create a local variable, sorry. The URL will be image URL. So I'm going to the preparation page and you see, I don't have to do anything. It created everything for me. I just consume the REST API, the page is done. It's just that fast. So let's see if it works. Okay, I'm going to Dogo here. Oh, look, a picture of a dog. So every time I refresh the page, I get a new picture of a dog. So those who opened the URL earlier, just refresh the page and then you'll get this link and then visit it and you'll get a random dog photo. So let me know if it works. It's live.
It works for
Yep.
me.
So,
Yeah.
so how fast do you think you could do that with Java or C#? You consume a REST API, you create a page for it, and then you use the REST API method to generate a dog photo. Imagine it would take you several minutes to hours to do that, and it took us less than 5 minutes in OutSystems, and that's just how fast. So you can integrate to any system, PayPal, Dragon Pay, or if you want your payment gateway, it already has built-in authentication security. So I can log in here and you don't have to use the OutSystems security framework. You can also use, it integrates with Google SSO, Facebook, it's really that flexible and it's fun to use. If you want to learn OutSystems, just visit outsystems.com, register for free. OutSystems will create your own environment that you can experiment on, and then you can learn. You can create applications live, just like what I did now. So this is all free. You can learn it and you can get certified. So I hope I was able to show you how fast OutSystems is. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them if I could.
It is. Thank you so much, Sir Harley.
You're
It's
welcome.
really an awesome platform. I mean, as we can see, everyone look at how efficient the system is. Everything, your work from 4 hours could be just minutes, right? So that's how quick and efficient it is working with OutSystems. So we do have a couple of questions here. So we can start with a question from Mr. Mark Allen Francisco. So he's asking specifically, how do we pull, data from multiple tables? I guess that can be done within OutSystems. And is there an open source option for this, Sir Harley?
There is no open source for out systems, the platform itself. You need to lease a license or purchase a license. But the good thing is, it's not me. I work for Cloud Development Resources.
Yep.
We do not purchase the license. Our customers do it. So they invest in out systems the same way they invest on Microsoft Windows. They invest on it, and then they ask us to develop something for it. To answer the question, yes, you can have multiple tables. You can join tables.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sir Harley. Another question.
Let me show that. Just
Okay,
a quick demo.
Definitely.
I'll share my screen again.
Okay. Mark is also asking for costing. If you can share
costing.
as well.
Okay, sure.
Sure.
So here, I can actually drag my tables here, and then I create another table. For example, some table. And then on that sum table, I have an ID. I'll add an entity, some entity, some value, and then I will add the foreign key. I can call it food menu item. Okay. And food menu item ID. And automatically, you see how intelligent OutSystems is. I named it food menu item ID. It automatically knows that it's the foreign key of food menu item. And this is how your entity will look like, your database schema, you see? So relational databases, no problem. It's just like, this is, by the way, by default SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, but you can connect to Oracle or MySQL or Postgres. So there. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. Mark, you can comment down if that did answer your question. Thank you so much, Sir Harley. We have another question from Michelle and Constantino. She mentioned that we saw how easy it was to develop from your demo. How would you project the future of low-code technology and the OutSystems platform in the years to come?
I would refer to the Gartner research that when they said by 2024, 65% of the companies will be adopting low code. And for years to come, it will be more, to the point that the future might be saturated with low code technology. Because if you look at the history of programming, we started with the painfully difficult long to code assembly language. And then high level language came out. You have C, you have Fortran, and then people adapted to that. And then the people who were programming in assembly became less and less. And then we started to have visual IDEs like Visual Basic, Visual C#. We have Visual C++. And then people started leaving Fortran. They started moving on to the visual IDEs. And then we started having frameworks. We started to have MVC frameworks, MVVM. We started to have CMS. And then people started moving there. So people will invest on technologies that are easier and more painless. And now they are moving away from that and moving into OutSystems, low code. So that's the future.
Cool. Thank you, Sir Harley. And I guess the last question for this awesome, epic webinar, I may say, was the OutSystems exclusive only for developing software systems, or can OutSystems be integrated with hardware as well?
That's
and
a good
probably
question.
on top of that, I would like to ask, what's your most, perhaps challenging, or your most, a work that you have created, a project that you've created using OutSystems that you can say that we can say that you can be proud of, or something. If you can share, if only you can share. Yeah.
Okay, sure, no problem. What was the first question again? Sorry. The first one you mentioned?
Yeah, it's about the hardware. If it's
hardware, okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. OutSystems, there are many ways to connect to hardware, many ways. In one of my thesis in my master's degree, I did IoT using socket programming, using UDP. Okay, you can connect to hardware like Arduino using different abstracted protocols, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. And OutSystems, it depends on how you expose the hardware. If you expose it via API, like what routers do. You have your web API. You can connect to the router. You can, if you want a direct connection to the hardware, if C# can do it, OutSystems can do it because you can write your own C# code.
Cool.
But you have to connect
Mhm.
the hardware to the server itself. If you want it remote, then it's possible. So it can do what mostly programming can do.
Mhm. Awesome. Thank you for that. And the last question would be about, or it's about your probably your most proudest work, I
Yeah.
guess.
Okay. My most proudest work was with Globe Telecom.
Mhm.
Um, so let me tell you what we did for Globe. So if you're any employees from Globe here? None? Okay.
Mm,
If you're an employee, if you're a Globe employee, you can install an application called Vicinity. Actually, we did lots of projects for Globe. The one that I specifically handled was Vicinity. So it's a facility services software for employees, meaning anything related to the facility services and everything you can access digitally. For example, in Globe Telecom, there are huddle rooms and meeting rooms. So huddle rooms are small rooms where you can meet your team. It's used for short, quick meetings, and you can use the application to reserve a huddle room. So you can view which huddle room is available. Oh, 14th floor huddle room A is available. So you can reserve it. So once you reserve it, the application will give you 5 minutes to go to that huddle room so that you can use it. Otherwise, the reservation will be forfeited so that you don't hoard the huddle rooms. So once you reserve something, you have to be there within 5 minutes. And how does the application know that you arrived? Each huddle room has a QR code. So once you arrive, you use the phone to scan the QR code to tell the application that you actually arrived. And then automatically after an hour, you're only allowed to use the room for 1 hour. Automatically after an hour, the huddle room will be freed. And
free.
there's also a back end wherein you can manage the huddle rooms. So that's just one function. Another function is where are the ATM machines in this building? Where do I find Mr. Ganto? Where's his office? So you can use the app to do that. The application also manages the shuttle service of Globe. So if you want to book a shuttle service, because Globe offers free shuttle service for employees from
Mhm.
point A to point B, so you can actually reserve, you can book your slot in the shuttle service. And then once you arrive, the driver also has an app, and the app will generate a QR code to prove that you actually arrived to the shuttle. You will scan the QR code.
Wow. Yeah.
You
That's
scan the QR
that's
code, proof that you arrived.
yeah.
So that's just a few services of one application. There are other services, but
Yeah.
I'm proud of that. It's
Yeah.
a mobile application and a web application. You can also use it to report an emergency. And
Mhm.
I tested it. I reported that in one of the meeting rooms, the aircon wasn't working. In 5 minutes, a technician arrived. I just used the phone.
Wow, that's awesome. And
So
I'm quite sure that it can be useful for other firms as well. It can be applicable to a lot of companies and, um, enterprises as well.
mm.
Thank you, Sir Harley,
Yeah,
for that.
you can actually, if you have a friend who works at Globe,
Uh-huh.
you can actually ask him about Vicinity.
That's awesome.
They'll be happy to
Okay.
show you.
Awesome. Anyway, thank you, Sir Harley Dangan, for
You're
that
welcome.
wonderful session and demo. It's really informative. It's really an eye-opener for, I guess, most of us here, especially those who are still doing the traditional coding, not yet transitioning to cloud, or in progress to transitioning to cloud platforms and all of those stuff. So let's give an online round of applause to Mr. Harley Dangan. Thank you so much for your time and efforts, for everything, for sharing your valuable knowledge. And prior to awarding our certificate, please do answer the evaluation form that is posted right now in the comment section. So you can visit it because your feedback is important to us. Okay. So again, please do answer our evaluation form because your feedback is important to us. And please don't forget to answer that, okay? And okay, to award the certificate of recognition appreciation to Mr. Harley, I would like to call on Mr. Jeffrey Kalim, our one of the DIT students from seminar in IT and network security, to read the content on the certificate and to award this really this award or this certificate to Mr. Harley Dangan. Take it away, Mr. Jeffrey Kalim.
Yeah, thank you for that informative seminar. Thank you, sir. Let me read the citation. University of the East, Manila Campus, Certificate of Appreciation is presented to Mr. Harley Dangan, our resource speaker, for sharing his valuable expertise on uh, introduction to low-code and OutSystem platform via Zoom, given this 5th day of December in the year of our Lord 2020 at University of the East, Manila Campus, signed Dr. Dennis B. Gonzalez, Program Coordinator, and Dr. Julian E. Abuso, Dean.
Thank you so much. Yay! Round of applause, online round of applause again to Mr. Harley Dangan, our resource speaker. Okay, now for our closing remarks, I would like to call on again our primary host for this evening, Miss Liz. Liz, take it away.
Thank you, Sir Kel. Again, thank you so much, Sir Harley, for sharing your knowledge about OutSystem platforms and low-code technology with us. Super amazing. Nakakabilib po. Anyway, to finally end this webinar, I would like to call Mr. Copernicus Pepito, a DIT student from Seminar in IT and Network Security and Seminar in Emerging Technology classes for the closing remarks.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Lizel Rose. It's already evening, So good evening, gentlemen and ladies. Now that our webinar was finally over, I hope that you learned something that you can be proud of. I would like to express my gratitude to all of you for taking the time out of your busy schedule just to attend this webinar. I am also very thankful to our very supportive professors, most especially to the energetic, multi-talented Dr. Dennis Gonzalez, our graduate school coordinator. And also to the ever beautiful and pretty Dr. Shirley De Leon Moraga and the handsome Doc Henry Palmio. Good evening po. In this webinar, we learned that low code is a way to design and develop software applications fast and with minimal hand coding. It enables skilled people to deliver value more quickly and more reliably. OutSystems is the #1 low-code platform for rapid application development that help organizations build enterprise-grade apps and transform their business faster. Bye.
Our members of basically everyone here, especially to our speaker. Thanks for sharing the knowledge and information. And I would like to thank as well to give thanks and give my huge appreciation to the organizers. So from Liz, Samson, Mr. Samson, Jeffrey, Copper, Michelle, Mitch, Rial, I mean everyone. Baka nakalimutan ka ng bagitin, but everyone who's involved in this seminar. I think we've got positive feedback. Based from the comments, they want a part 2 of this webinar. So let's see about that. Okay, without further ado, we'd like to close the session and have a great evening to all the participants, UE faculty, everyone who's here who joined us in this wonderful session. Sir Harvey, thank you so much.
Thanks also everyone for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Good
Thank you,
night
Sir
and God
Harvey.
bless.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Thank you, Sir
po.
Mike.
Good night. Thank you po.
Sir Michael, for
Thank you
the
to everyone.
Please don't forget to answer yung survey, survey forms, feedback form. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Congratulations.
You know.
Thank you po, Doc
Yan, thank you, Doc.
Jen.
Thank you, Ria.
Po.
Good luck na
Ma'am
sa
Ivy,
ano
thank you
natin.
po.
Thank you rin
Thank you
po.
po.
Ivy, thank you po.
Ma'am Jo.
Congratulations,
Ma'am,
everyone.
ay Doc Jen and Doc Joel, question lang po. Hanggang anong oras po natin ibubuksan yung feedback form?
Hoy. Hanggang kailangan.
Doc
Yes,
Joel.
tama.
Para sir, alam ko po kung kailan ko po i-extract yung for the documentation team.